TV10. Gano Mazima. Webale kuba nti okyatwekuumiddeko, twongera okwebaza buli entakera oluvannyuma lw'okuba nti tukimanyi amaanyi gaffe gayimiridde mu ggwe era bw'otugoberera n'okukkiririza mu bye tukola, ekyo nno kitwongera enkizo okwongera okutabaalira n'okunoonyeza ebyo ebinyuma era n'okuzimba eggwanga lyaffe. Amawulire kkoweddamba era nga ne Munamateeka wa Uganda baalisaamu okukakasiza ddala nti ly'essiga eryokuna erisobola okugunjaawo n'okugonjoola ssaako n'okusomesa awamu n'okukangavvula abo bannantagambwako. Gano Mazima nga bulijjo. Ssaalongoddin Lubowa Saava Sekiranda. Nze ngobye bumale nateera nga bwe nakusuubiza nti nja kudda. Mu mboozi eno eyanjeru stock farm okuli ettaka ery'abantu ba Ssekinnoomu n'abo abagamba nti erimu lyali lyababbibwako. Tuli mu famire ya Nuwe Mazinga, Guste Seruwo wamu ne Sebowa nga kwotadde ne yali musajja wa Kabaka amanyikiddwa nga Hammukasa. Ettaka eryogerwako tuli ku ploti 2, ploti 3, ploti 4 and 5. Zino nno zonna zaaliko bannannyini baazo. Naye era nga bwe nakutegeeza nti olw'okuba ettaka lino lyali ligabiddwa mu ngeri ey'amankwetu, bannannyini ettaka lino baavaayo buli omu n'atandika okusaba erire balimuddize. Era oluvannyuma lw'okusokolayo ebiwandiiko gye byali bikukuniddwa, buli muntu yatandika okumanya wawaagwa. Olunaku lwa leero tukomyewo nate ate ne Munamateeka owa General Kayinda Otafiire gwe yaleeta okumukolera ku nsonga ze zino oluvannyuma lw'okugula eka 10 ku ttaka lino era nga bw'agenda okubitunnyonnyola bwe tugenda okubiyitamu. Good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. Let's have another roundup. It's TV10 Gano Mazima. And now, my name is Dean Lubowa Saava, the only one and only who can go for a deep dive of any matter around Kampala. I'm with lawyer. I'm with Counsel Sam Ahamya, who represents General Otafiire. The main matter which we need now to discuss today is about the Njeru stock farm land, which is now at a crossroads. Everyone is claiming to be owning that land. However much there are some other owners or occupants who have taken over that land, but the main person who is at the finger points of other people or even government, the so-called mafias, they are now accusing General Kayinda Otafiire that he has stolen the entire land of stock farm in Njeru. Let's have a word from Counsel Sam Ahamya to know the chronology of how things started and where they are today at Njeru stock farm. You're welcome to TV10 Gano Mazima.
Thank you, viewers. Gano Mazima. We are supposed to tell the truth. If my Uganda is right. My name is Sam Ahamya, managing partner of Ahamya Associates and Advocates, and equally counsel for lawyer for Honorable Kayinda Otafiire, on whose instructions we concluded the negotiation. We secured the titles, to which he has 100 acres of land in Njeru, and there's been a lot going on in the press about the land, who owns the land in Njeru, his activities on the land, when he went to fence off the land and secure his land, then the whole issue of him trespassing. So many things have come out in the New Vision newspaper, calling him a thief, calling him a land grabber, calling him this. And I think it's out of ignorance that some of these reporters just write sensational stories for purposes of selling the newspapers, because bad news is news, good news is never news.
On a layman's understanding.
And good news never sells. It's only intrigue and conspiracy that sell. However, we thank you for reaching out and asking me to engage with you and try and clear out what the issues are and how we have reached and where we are now.
Kanso Sam Ahamya Munamateeka era akolera mu kibuga Kampala wano atutegeeza nti client we okutuuka okujja ku ttaka lino bamutuuke ne muteeka mivuyo waaliwo abaali baagala okubba ettaka lino mu ngeri ey'amankwetu era nga bw'atunnyonnyola.
The Lya'Njeru stock farm, as you have it now, is supposed to was a government farm. Then the history of this land that stretches plot 2, plot 3, plot 4, and plot 5 was owned by different persons. There have been names of Hamukasa being thrown into the light as having owned the land. Yes, Hamukasa owned land in Lya'Njeru, but only owned plot 2. And the plot 2 that he owned was 469 acres. Plot 3 was owned by Sebowa, and then there was plot 4 that was owned by Saava. Plot 5 was owned by Mazima. All these people were given the land in their different individual capacities. Sebowa had an FC, a final certificate, that was given to him on the 21st of February 1922. The final certificate number was 15734
with MRV.
That was Saava. Sebowa was 15733. Now, this was in 1922. Later on, the land system changed, and it now changed from FCs into MRVs. So you then had Sebowa getting an MRV 172, and Saava got his MRV as 19.
No, a point of correction. For Sebowa it is 171. Sebowa is
172. Thank you for that clarity. So when the MRVs were then created, the MRV was a milo register volume. That's how they then registered the land. In 1948, you had a decision by Mr. Hamukasa, an offer to the Crown. And in that offer to the Crown, he offered to lease to the Crown 4 pieces of land. That was plot 2. There's a letter dated 23rd June 1948 from the Entebbe Office of Titles to the land officer in Entebbe, intimating that Uganda has signed an agreement for the exchange of land identified in A, that is MRV 168 folio 10, that is propriety of Uganda. The next was MRV 171 folio 25. The final certificate number on that in there was 15733, measuring 322.4 acres. In the names of registered proprietor Sebowa. C was MRV 172 folio 1. From the final certificate number arose was 15734, measuring 318 acres in Bukaya in the names of Gasta Seruo. 4 was MRV 223 folio 5 of the final certificate number that was 17225, 469 acres that was registered in the names of Yori Setumba, who then transferred it to Noe Mazinga. That is plot 2, plot 3, plot 4, and plot 5.
So when Hamukasa was leasing that land or registering it to the Crown land?
The letter says Hamukasa has signed an agreement to lease the government lands comprised in B, C, and D. That is plot 3, 4, and 5. And
he gave him the actual names of the actual owners of those who were owning that land.
He gave the particulars of the land. When the lands, the Minister of the Register of Titles was writing to the lands officer, he itemized the titles
and their owners.
And their owners and said, can you investigate and give us the status of these lands? It's interesting to note that thereafter, a month after, there is a letter from the Register of Titles, that's the land officer, Brushhill, and he stipulates in respect to the 3 plots of land, a request of the acting survey of lands dated this indicates Gasta Seruo owns 318 acres, that is MRV
172
folio 1, Enoch Seboa 322, that is MRV 171
folio 25,
MRV 228 folio 5, that is Ande Nua Basude
Mazinga.
And he says, I have evidence of their claim of the ownership of this land. This is in 1948. In 1915, on the 29th of May, in a letter addressed to the Chisimbe clan head, it was a matter the matter of Seruano Mazinga Kauta Molondo reported having died in this, and they're trying to state the land that was owned by the Mazinga Seruano. And it showed that in there, it identified that lands were owned by Enoch Seboa and Gasta Seruo in Bukaya.
Which was plotted 3 and 4.
Yes, he was the Olugoba Uganda. So he was the head. So they are saying, under him as the head, these are the people who owned land around Bukaya and Lya'Njeru. Number 1 on the list, the letter of 1929 is Gasta Seruo owning his piece of land, Enoch Seboa owning his respective piece of land, and Nue Mazinga, who got the land from Yori Setumba.
On a layman's understanding, if someone wants to know, how did General Kaindo Otafiire came into existence on Njeru land?
Kaindo Otafiire got this land by getting it from Christopher Lule and Frederick Lukwaju.
Who are the administrators of?
Christopher Lule and Frederick Lukwaju were the administrators of Gasta Seruo and Enoch Mazinga and Enoch Seboa. Gasta Seruo and Enoch Seboa. Gasta Seruo and Enoch Seboa, when they died, Christopher Lule and Frederick Lukwaju applied for letters of administration. These letters of administration were granted by the High Court. One was by Justice Irene Moriagonja. Then she was the High Court judge in Jinja. It was had, and the application was had and granted. And administrative course 118 of 2009 on the 1st of August 2009. That is when she had an application for letters of administration, and a grant was made to Enoch Seboa. It was signed on the 18th of August by Justice Moriagonja when she was still the High Court judge in Jinja. On the 2nd of June 2009, Justice Zerihurukiza was the judge in Jinja under Administrative Cause 117 of 2009, granted letters of administration to Christopher Lule for the estate of Gasta Seru. So, Enoch Sebowa passed on. When Enoch Sebowa passed on, his grandson, who was Lukwaju, Frederick, took over
the estate.
When Gasta Seru passed on, Christopher Lule became the holder of letters of administration and manager of that estate. Both these gentlemen came and approached Kahinda Otafiire in 2014. They got the letters of administration in 2009. They come and they approach him and they wanted to they were looking for financing, someone to facilitate the opening of the boundaries, the demarcations of the land, the preparation of the title, paying surveyors' fees, doing all this, the whole process that is required in order to secure the titles. We originally drew an MOU that would lead up to where he was going to advance them. He was going to facilitate the process of that. Now, in facilitation of the process, the issue was, once the land has been obtained, because now they have letters of administration, they had already applied for issuance of titles from the Jinja court. It's important to note that in 2011, Justice Batema, then was a registrar of the High Court in Jinja, issued orders in 2011, 12th December. There were orders issued in respect of the land to Frederick Lukwaju, whereby the Register of Titles is ordered to register Plot 3 in the names of Frederick Lukwaju as administrator of the estate of Enoch Sebowa. 2011, Otafiire gets into the picture in 2015.
Agamba nti olw'okuba client we amanyikiddwa nti alina erinnya ate nga musajja w'amaanyi watutumu mu ggwanga wano, abantu bano baayagala okukozesa erinnya ly'okumusuula mu nteta n'okwagala okumusibako amatu g'embuzi nti yabba ettaka lino, so nga ate amazima gaabyo ettaka eriri yagula ggule era nga bw'abitugamba.
The same registrar, now Justice Batema, when he was still the registrar of Jinja, equally issued orders to the registrar to register titles for Plot 4. Remember, you have Plot 3, Plot 4, in the names of Christopher Lule, being the administrator of the estate of Gasta Seru. So, armed with the letters of administration, orders from court compelling the Register of Titles to make titles in respect of these two people's names, they now had to go to the land, open up boundaries, survey the land. You survey the land, you then get surveyors to now demarcate and partition the land.
Make subdivisions.
And this. There are so many people who Enoch Sebowa, Fred Lukwaju and Christopher Lule had borrowed money from, because Fred Lukwaju by that time was ailing, he was quite sick, so he was being catered for by Harriet Nava and Saava. They were helping him cater for some of his medical bills, his money he had borrowed from some people. So he had already written out consents and agreements with different people who had lent him money, and he said, I place this land that belongs to the estate, help pay my ABCD bills, I will pay you in terms of land. It is known. So many people have done it. There are people who have land but do not have the means to actually finance their procurement of these pieces of land. So the offer was made. I did the due diligence myself. I went to Ginger, and that's how I got these orders. Before I told him, yes, it's something you can get into and something you can invest, I had to go and do the due diligence and verify that some of this land is actually there. The orders are actually there. The letters of administration are valid. That means they have a claim to the land. It was done. We ended up into a sale agreement where we agreed that you'd be compensated 100 acres. When they did the parceling of the land in 2015, when they completed the parceling of the land, they actually broke up the land into different sizes. There are those of 50 acres, 40 acres, 20 acres, different pieces of land. He was given 100 acres, plot to 80 and plot to 83. That's his 100 acres. Christopher Lule stayed with 100 acres that became to 79, and we continued. Now all the different people came claiming, oh, I gave this person land, I gave this person money, he undertook to give me land, I need it. So what would happen is Christopher Lule would come to my office with the different gentlemen. I give him the title, he signs against a photocopy, and I have photocopies of those original titles. Sign off, I've taken this title, I, Christopher Lule, I, Frederick Rupaju, or I, Nava, I've taken this title for X, for Y, for this one, for this one. And that's how it works.
So the main purpose of Gano, he came into existence to help these people and facilitate the process of getting their titles. When they received their titles, they had also to pay him back.
Yes. The option was one, pay me back my money,
or
you found my money, or you give me that. They opted to give him that, and he was happy with it. There is no legal challenge to that.
Then why is it that other people like the stock farm and other government officials are accusing Gano Otafiire that he has stolen land from stock farm?
I think it's out of ignorance, because the stock farm doesn't have any land there. And let me make this.
Because according to the current occupancy on that land, there is no way we can see.
Let me make it very clear. Njeru stock farm doesn't have any land. One.
Are you serious?
Yes. What you talk of the lands I identified earlier, plot 2, plot 3, plot 2, plot 3, plot 4, and plot 5. It would be interesting to note that Justice Kasiwukira, while she was still a judge of the High Court, actually made an entry, made an order in respect to plot 2. It was a case that was filed by James Hansali and George Asebe Mokasa. It's linear score 06 of 2011. The order, it reads, this application is coming up for final disposal on the 7th of July 2011, before Lady Justice Pase to Haise, in presence of Bana Ntiaba, counsel for the applicants, a senior lawyer now. The order is the Commissioner of Land Registration effects / notes the applicant's re-entry in respect of the lease to Lya'Njeru Town Council over the land comprised and registered in Block 295, Plot 2, Lya'Njeru. Signed on the 11th of July. So, Plot 2 on the 11th of July went back to the family of Hamakasa. So there was a re-entry. So whatever Lya'Njeru is talking about,
it was returned back to the actual owner, who is Hamakasa.
On the 24th of February 2010, remember this, plot 2, plot 3, plot 4, and plot 5.
Yes.
there is an order made
by
Justice Irene Lya'Njeru on the 24th of February 2010. And it reads, the respondent paid the applicants all outstanding arrears. If I were to read the whole decree as it is, it arises out of miscellaneous application 330 of 2009, arising out of civil suit 80 of 2009. The parties were Daniel Naduri, George Kasede Mukasa, and Jack
Chironde
against
Njeru Town Council.
Decree. This application coming up this 24th of February 2010 for final disposal before Honorable Lady Justice Irene Lya'Njeru in the presence of Henry
Chisalu,
counsel of the applicant, and in the presence of the absence of the respondent's counsel. It is hereby decreed and ordered under the provisions of Rule 11 of the arbitration rules.
as follows.
There was a dispute that went to arbitration. Under the arbitration, there was a settlement under Rule 11 of the arbitration rules then. And it was ordered as follows: that the respondents being Njeru Town Council pay the applicants all the outstanding arrears. The original lease, LRV 279, folio 12, registered under instrument 1079-53 for a period of
99 years.
From 1st November 1948, if you can recall the letters that were written whereby the Office of Titles is asking to the land officer saying, that was in June, saying 1948, the agreement signed that are leasing us land for 99 years. From 1948, there was a lease of 99 years, over Plot 5.
Ensonga mu kiseera zino nga bwe ziyimiridde era ng'amaze okutaganjula ebitabo byonna n'okubitusongerako nti kino kyajja bwe kiti ne kino ne kiyimirira bwe kiti. Agamba nti General Kayindo Otafiire ettaka ly'alina yalifuna mu mateeka era tabbangako muntu yenna. Oluvannyuma lw'okuba nti yakola omulimu gwe gwali gwetaagisa era n'afuna eka ze 10 mu nkola gye yazikolereramu era n'azisasula mu bulambulukufu nga talina gwanyigiriza.
Now, that lease comprised in Plot 5, Bukaya. Block 295, measuring 469 acres, is hereby ordered, terminated, and Commissioner for Land Registration is ordered to cancel the same lease. They lose Plot 2, they lose
Plot 5.
Plot 5. They are asked, do you have any documentation in respect of Plot 3 and Plot 4? They do not have any documentation.
3 and 4, which was for Gasta Rule and Enoch Sebo.
That was owned by Fred and Christopher Lule. So when Christopher Lule got his letters of administration in 2009, in 2011 they applied to court to be given the titles for the Commissioner Land Registration to process titles in their names. The orders are made. They serve the orders to the Commissioner Lands. The Commissioner Lands begins processing the titles. But to process the titles, you have to go open up boundaries, get deed prints, and have all this done, which they did have not before. That's how they approach in general. So from that you see, and that's why I said the Njeru Stock Farm has nothing. These are matters that were brought before court. 2009, 2011, orders are made. Both orders of Justice Batima, Lya'Njeru, and Kasiwukira, all are made in 2011. Njeru Stock Farm is in existence, but is not
known anywhere.
Is not known anywhere. Njeru Stock Farm does not dispute any of them. Njeru Stock Farm does not bring a suit. Minister of Agriculture and the Attorney General's chambers do not bring a suit.
Not even putting a caveat on the said land.
People go get titles, they process the titles. It's interesting to note that the different people who got the titles subsequently sold this land to current people who if you've been to Njeru, just before you reach Jinja, I think they're making the road now. Just before Nile Breweries, I think, and 200 meters before the Nile Breweries get on your right hand side, you actually branch in. That is how you get to plot 2, plot 3 and plot 4. It's interesting to find that currently there are all industries all around that side.
Can we get to know the people who are the current occupants on the subdivision made into plot 2 and 3, 4?
Yes, to take you back a bit, when this is
the subdivision,
an area schedule of the subdivisions that we are done. This is an area schedule of the subdivisions we are done. This is the current area schedule of the status of it. Now, Afande was, General Otafiire was given 280 and 282 that are here. These 2 pieces of land.
This one and this one.
Yes. This was given to Rajab, a gentleman called Rajab, a gentleman called Ochingo also got land, Musitwa, Lukabwe, Justice Kavuma, being an administrator of the estate of Fred Bukwaju. We'll get to that. When Fred Bukwaju died, these letters of administration became inoperative. So there was a petition to court, and it was heard by Justice Luswata, who is now in Court of Appeal, and Justice Luswata revoked the letters of administration that had been given to Fred Bukwaju because of death and issued them to new persons. Margaret Nava Harriet, Stephen Kavuma and Robert Sewava are actually the executors of
that estate.
The executors of that estate. There's been no dispute over that. No one has complained, no one has challenged their issue. Now, currently on this land, you have companies like Siani Brothers. Siani Brothers owns plot 291, is owned by Siani Brothers. Modern Tiles owns plot 284. Just hold on. Modern Tiles owns plot 284. Kira Motors, the one in Jinja, owns 286. Justice Kavuma owns 287. Lego Cosmetics owns this part. Fisco Stone owns this. Mr. Wilfred Bujingo owns the land up there. Siani Brothers owns what was 291. Nile Ply owns 269. Kampala Pharmaceuticals owns 278. Modern Ceramics owns that. Lukabwe owns 286. Mary Mugjenyi owns that. A lawyer called Faizo owns the rest, another part of it. Mr. Musa Were owns part of what was 282. This is what it currently looks like. You have industries on plot 3, and this was plot 4. Hamukasa's land was here, plot 2. So this is plot 2, plot 3, plot 4, plot 5. So there is nothing that you can call Njeru stock farm. If from 1948 they are claiming Hamukasa gave them land, Hamukasa could not have given land that he didn't own.
So in a nutshell, government is no longer owning any stock farm in Uganda, because it is not only Njeru. I've also took initiative of looking into other stock farms which were also owned by government. Aswa Ranch is also taken away. Sangwebe is no longer existence. Nshara is no longer existence. Nyabushozi, and even that of Njeru we are talking today.
I think Ruona stock farm is still there, but it might have been eaten up. The one in Sanga, it's interesting to note that there was a dispute between Minister of Agriculture and sergeant, a soldier, who also had land in Nsonga. When they opened up the boundaries, they found there's actually land in the middle. The soldier's land is there, proper with his titles, his lease. The stock farm in Nsonga is there, and there's land in the middle. But I think it's out of ignorance or just greed that they think any land that is vacant near their land is theirs. And that is why, and that's where the problem is. Because you have modern tiles that are here. Built. The only land that's available,
it's that of Gano.
Is Geno's land. Because he has never sold it to anyone. And he knew no one is going to steal my land. I have my land, my titles are valid, and they're there. He keeps the title under his pillow. But because for you think it is vacant land, you think, let me just steal what I can get. That is not it. Even Njeru stock farm is on another, is neighboring it. I think it's a deep one or two structures that actually struggled onto Afandi's land. Administration block and this, and not on his land. So when they begin giving you a narrative, because they're trying to sell news and they're trying to paint him in bad image, that, oh, he has stolen all the land, he has grabbed the land, it makes one believe that, or think, that Njeru stock farm is 100 acres, and the 100 acres is what Otafiire has taken. No. The Njeru stock farm, as they claim it was plot 2, 3, 4, and 5. I've shown you Justice Mulyagonja making entries over plot 2 and plot 5. Kasiwukira and Justice Mulyagonja. The orders are there. They have never been set aside. It's interesting when, I think in May, June, it was June this year, when we got a letter from Attorney General's chambers inviting us to go to the Njeru stock farm to open up the boundaries with a surveyor from the government. And we went and walked through the land. They plotted the plots, they did everything. And while we were on the land, we realized that the largest part, I think it's 190 acres, is on plot 2.
Which was owned by Hamukasa.
And there's a re-entry of 2011. The re-entry hasn't been set aside. Okay, I haven't seen any order cancelling that re-entry of Justice Kasiwukira. There's been no appeal, there's been no order cancelling that re-entry. But they're still sitting on 190 acres. I don't know if they are paying Ramukasa family anything. They are still sitting on it.
That one we shall see it later.
Then you have Afande's 100 acres, and then you have an extra 60 acres. So in total, when we actually went to that land, before we left, there was the surveyor with their IT systems plotted it out. And he said, but this is only 368 or 358 acres. And this was shown by the current ED of the stock farm. Took us to the points that they thought
it is their land.
Stock farm. So we asked and said, but in 2011, when 2017, when the IGG made a report, there was a dispute. They were quoting 768 acres, which they were claiming they are leasing from Njeru, and they were paying Njeru. And I think that year they paid in areas for 2002 to 2007, they paid 348 million.
Mu kiseera kino wetwogerera ab'enganda z'abo abaali bannannyini ttaka lino be tuyinza okuyita ba administrator baateekengadde obuvunaanyizibwa bw'okulabirira estates zaabwe era abamu ku bo ne batandika okuguza abantu ab'enjawulo. Nga na wano wetwogerera waliwo abantu ab'enjawulo abali ku ttaka lino era abakutaddeko bizinensi ez'enjawulo nga n'abamu ku bo omukulembeze w'eggwanga yajja n'azikakasa.
But later on, IGG said, but you're purportedly paying for
a wrong
700,
person.
No, you're purportedly paying for 768 acres. But in actual sense, they were only sitting on 506. So there's 200 acres that is Potea, money being paid for that cannot be accounted.
It is a ghost money, a payment.
Ghost money. Ghost workers in Ministry of Agriculture. Who is eating that money? So now you come to I read you the order of Justice Moliagonja. Order 1. The respondents pay the applicants all outstanding arrears. That was for plot 5. So you're paying arrears for plot 5, yes.
And the plot 2.
Plot 2, there's a re-entry.
Which was taken back by Mukasa.
It was taken back by Mukasa.
Now plot 5 is owned by Nowe Mazinga.
No, yeah, that was owned by Nowe Mazinga. You have Daniel Naduli, Chironde, and George Kasambe Mukasa taking it back as plot 5. 2011. Njeru Town Council is told you do not have any. Njeru Town Council actually writes to Stock Farm and says we do not have land there. But the Nagric and Ministry of Agriculture, I think in their budget allocations of the year, by the way, you need to look at it closely. I think there is a vote for payment of rent from Njeru Stock Farm. That money is requisitioned. It never reaches Njeru Town Council. It is lost between there. I don't know if it's
in the transit.
It gets lost in Mabida, Lugazi, Mukono. The money gets lost along that way.
Have you heard about the letter from the president which was written in February 2024?
I saw that. I was given a copy of the letter, and it's interesting.
What was he saying?
The president was directing that 450 acres of Njeru Stock Farm be given to Modern Ventures, a company. My problem with that is this. Someone in State House, someone in Ministry of Agriculture is lying to the president. Someone is lying to the president.
Isn't he the same president who came and commissioned the same company?
He commissioned the starting up of Modern Tiles. The directors and shareholders of Modern Tiles are the same directors and shareholders of Modern Venture.
So they are requesting for extra more land?
Tiles, yes, but Modern Tiles bought that land from Rajab.
Which is a private mile.
Got the land. Private mile. Rajab got the land from Christopher Lule. The same Christopher Lule who gave Afande, General Otafiire, his land. So Modern Ventures, Modern Tiles has land. They put up a factory.
And they know the procedures they use to act.
Now they go to the lease. They know they go to the mine. They bought it from Rajab. Rajab was given that land by Christopher Lule. Otafiire, who is given land by Christopher Lule, is seen as the thief. And these lands neighbor each other.
That is the Modern Tile and the
Modern Tiles and Otafiire's land. They neighbor each other. But this one is okay. You're in the wrong.
and yet you all got land from the same person.
Now, the president's letter says 450 acres. That means Otafiire's second land goes, Siani brothers
goes,
their land goes.
Mary Mujeni.
This no, this is Nita, Nita Glass Company. Their title goes. Kira Motors, the ones of our buses, their land goes. Justice Kavumas goes. Lego Cosmetics, the land goes. Bujim goes, his goes. Nile Ply, Potea. Kampala Pharmaceuticals goes. Remember, plot 3 is 318 acres.
322
acres. They've given out 450. So plot 3, 318 goes. That means you have a deficit you're going to get from plot 4 to make 450 acres.
Do we still have any residue which is not occupied apart from that of General Otafiire and that of the Mukasa family?
I think the only residue is probably, no, there is none, because when you look at the current, from what I got from the town plan in Nsonga town, this town plan, it has all been now subdivided into so many other plots. There's actually a housing estate that Well is putting up.
So that means there is no land in Nsonga.
There's nothing that you can talk about in Nsonga stock farm.
So the president needs to be revised again.
The president needs to be informed that people are trying to abuse his name, abuse the goodwill of the president, because the president honestly believes that and he has said it so many times, instead of an investor coming and paying for land, that becomes an upfront cost. Give him land, but he's coming with an investment. That investment is going to provide employment, is going to pay for taxes, is going to do so much for the economy and the area around. You see, so he's forward thinking, but you have people in between who are lying to him. That there's land in Nsonga. And he says, okay, fine, because he went and he commissioned Modern Tiles. Now, Modern Ventures, the same directors, same shareholders. I got certified copies of the memos and articles, the particulars of directors, so I can say it for a fact. Modern Tiles and Modern Ventures are one and the same person.
We shall have to look into that. Now, as we wind up,
it says, I bought 50 acres from Rajab, but can you give me 450 acres? So basically, I'm saying, can you give me 500 acres? Based on what? Who introduced them to the president? Who convinced the president that there's 450 acres to do without going to the land? And this is the date of 2024. By 2024, all these industries are up and running.
There is someone who wants to lie the president. As we wind up
now, you have Mountains Inn Limited. It owns part of the land there. That is owned by one of your members of parliament. There is a list of 29. I can read it out. Of the 30 different entities. Some are manufacturing, cultivating sugarcane, some are vacant. There is a school that is there. There is a religious entity. There are two religious entities on the land. There is a mosque. Nsonga Industrial, it's a mosque. It sits on 2 acres. There's another school, Lord's Ministries Church. It sits on 2 acres. It's a religious entity. There's a school called Modern Lord's Med School. It sits on 18 acres. Modern Laminates sits on 100 acres. Keshwara sits on 48 acres. You have Were, who sits on 35 acres. Siani Brothers sits on 60 acres. Siraje Glass sits on 19 acres. Modern Tiles sits on 50 acres. And then you have the people dotted around. So there is nothing to talk about in Nsonga stock farm. Now, there is something that came up in the papers that there was an order by Justice, retired Justice Murangira, but the newspaper was misquoting these judgments.
how?
Christopher Lule and Frederick Kwaju sued and said, we want our land back from Commissioner. Now, but they thought Naveta, Margaret Naveta, owned the land. So in their pleadings, and I have a copy of the order, but also a copy of the judgment. And they were saying, Commissioner, telling the Commissioner lands to cancel Naveta's title. So Justice Murangira, in his wisdom, said, I cannot order the Commission of Lands to cancel a title for someone who is not party to these proceedings. So he dismissed that matter. But in the newspapers and in the public domain, they say, Justice Murangira dismissed these people's claim. It is not. He just said, I cannot order for cancellation of title.
A person who is not party.
That was 209. In 2011, now when they proceed against when they proceed against Commissioner Lands, clearly now knowing for a fact that Naveta doesn't own the land, that Hamukasa doesn't own the land, there is no claim from Hamukasa, they write and petition court. And that is when Justice Batima then makes those orders for Frederick Lukwaju and Christopher Lule for titles to be made in their names. These were done, filed in court. There was also the issue of, no, Frederick Lukwaju's letters of administration were cancelled. I say yes, they were cancelled, but why? Frederick Lukwaju died. The estate hadn't been fully administered. So, Bakulu Mpaji, there are 3 people who applied for letters of administration and revocation of the letters that had been given to Lukwaju. I have a copy of the order and I have the ruling of Justice Luswata. She had the application and said, based on the fact, and I think under the Succession Act, based on the fact that the holders of letters of administration has died, but the estate hasn't been fully administered and managed. Revoked is a certificate of cancellation, revocation, and issued new.
And there is a new re-entry of the whatever.
No, and issued
new letters of administration to the successors of Lukwaju.
Then those appointed executors
to take over the estate.
Yes. You have Nava, you have Saava, and you have Justice. The former DCJ, Justice Kaufman. Now, none of these orders has been set aside. None of them has been appealed against. But you have people just say, let us handle it on social media and in the court of
the public
to tarnish someone's name. We have bigger thieves to chase. We have people who have stolen a whole road. We have people who have stolen this. Let the newspapers and let you journalists. There's an issue journalists have professionalism. If you're going to do investigative journalism, there's an article that came out and said, oh, there's a letter written by Ahamya Associates demanding for money for Ministry of Justice. Yes. Because the animals were on our land, on my client's land. And we said, since you've been on our land, pay us. From the time we got onto the title, till to date, the market rate. They have not sued.
Are they still using the land?
No, we have fenced off the land since. Now they say, oh, we fenced off the land, we have plants. If I fence off my land and I'm clearing it, what's your problem?
This is Uganda for you.
but it's not the Uganda we want. This is Uganda, but it's not the Uganda we want. And the Constitution says power belongs to the people. It's derived from us. So when you have MPs who are there stealing, when you have people who are just there with impunity doing nothing, hakuna mchezo. We are supposed to clear this thing. But we have to do it legally and properly.
So in the nutshell,
this is our evidence, this is our proof.
In the nutshell, Gano Otafiire has not stolen anyone's land.
He has not stolen anyone's land.
He has occupied that place lawfully.
He's in possession of it lawfully. If anyone comes and says, you people have stolen plot 3 and plot 4, then it has to be holistically done. Get all the factories and tell them, go away.
This is Stock Farm's land.
But the Stock Farm government has to show how it owned my land. Because the government cannot say we own this land through a lease and this, and there is re-entry here, there is cancellation of a lease, there is no title. Ask Njeru, when you have time. We are
going back to Njeru.
Go to Njeru and tell them, give us a certificate of title, or their lease, a certificate of title in their names for that. Let them give you proof and documentation saying this is it and this is how we did it. No, there is nothing. Because then, how would this say and all these companies, Modern Tiles,
the one who was surrounding General Otafiire's land,
got all these approved plans from Njeru Town Planning Office. There is no way the Planning Office of Njeru Town Council would have granted those building plans and approvals if the land is not validly theirs. If it was never Christopher Lule's or Frederick Lukwaju, and there were no proper transfers or leases made to these people for them to have occupational permits for them and building. So it's, we honestly need to do a bit of soul searching and stop looking at low-hanging fruits. Ministry of Agriculture looking at low-hanging fruits to throw jabs at and justify their theft, justify their impunity, justify their failure to account. And you should also look at it and ask Ministry of Agriculture exactly what have they been doing. Because I'll tell you for a fact, when the Bushmen, not the Bushmen, when the people came out of the bush in 86, the Lya'Njeru stock farm, being a bush, was actually used by the army in Ginger Barracks, Chimaka, for map reading and exercise. The army was using that farm.
There was no stock farm.
There was no stock farm. They tried to restock the stock farm in 2006.
We can't go further from here.
There's nothing that we can talk of a stock farm.
We can't go further from here. We've had enough from Council Samuel Ahamya. Okuzaako mu bannaffe abatugoberera bawosibye otya no ssebo ba foot soldier katubagondeze tubadde mu luzungu lungi nnyo nga tugezaako kumanya ani yaani ku ttaka lya Njeru stock farm. Era ogenda okumaliriza tutegedde buli omu bwali waawo. Olwaleero bulijjo tubadde tubuuza how did General Kahindo Otafiire bwe yafuna ettaka eryo eka 10 ze bogerako. Naye oluvannyuma lw'okuba nti yali atuukiriddwa famire ez'abantu bano abaali beetaaga okulaba nga bakola ku letters of administration zaabwe n'okulaba ebyapa byabwe nga biddizibwa, yateekamu ensimbi then bo ne bamukakasa nti kye tusobola okuwa tuyinza obutasobola kusasula ssente z'otuwadde zonna wabula tujja kukwatagana tulabe nga tukuwa ettaka in terms of like a barter trade. Otuwadde ssente ffe katukuwemu ettaka, n'alaba ng'ate n'ettaka lye bamuwadde liri worth the money he has injected mu process gye baali bakoze era n'afuna 100 acres. Ate era ekyewuunyisa nti ku ttaka lyennyini eryogerwako kuliko abantu bangi nnyo ab'enjawulo n'amakolero ng'era bwe mugenda okuba nga mubiraba mu process gye tugenda okuba series ze tugenda okubalaga. Ekibuuzibwa bano nabo bajjako batya ng'ate nabo baagula ku muntu y'omu okuba nga ate ono gwe bagamba nti yabba eka 10 nga naye ate yagula ku bantu be bamu bayafuna ku bantu be bamu abaaguza bano abaliwo. Mbadde Dean Lubowa Saava ne Munamateeka Ahamya lawyer wa General Kahindo Otafiire. Byo bye tubadde twogerako mu luzungu ebingi bye mbadde mulaba n'empapula ze batadde wande nnyingi ennyo. So ku lwa bonna tukyagenda mu maaso. We are about to get the guys from Ministry of Agriculture, Nagric and again Njeru Stock Farm and even Njeru Town Council. Buli omu twagala tulage ebiwandiiko bye so that we get the actual facts ze tulina okuba nga tubuulira abantu. If at all you don't own any document that gives you the mandate or the authority to own that land, it means oliwo mu bukyamu. Wano tetuyinza kusukkawo ku lw'abafuutu soja katuddeyo eka. Mukama batukuumire, mweraba. TV10 Gano Mazima.